What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to share with you the biggest lessons I have learned while building my pet sitting business. If you're new to my channel, I'm Shelly Beyer, the creator of Pet Brainy, and I put out new videos every Tuesday with my best strategies and tips to help you grow your pet sitting business. As you build your pet sitting business, you are going to find that you make a lot of mistakes along the way. But don't look at those as mistakes. Look at those as learning experiences and lessons, because I'm telling you, you're going to learn a ton through this journey of building a pet sitting business. I have learned a ton, and that's why I'm making this video for you, because I feel like through my experiences, you can learn from the mistakes or lessons that I have learned. So I'd love to share them with you. I made a lot of mistakes along the way and learned a lot of lessons, but that video could go on for a long time. So I'm going to share with you the top 5 that I've learned. So let's go ahead and dive in. So one of the most important things that I have learned is how important it is to build a brand. Now, people think of a brand as their logo. That is just the beginning of it. A brand is your personality of your business. And that should be reflected in the colors that you choose, in the fonts that you choose, in the voice that you use, and it should be consistent throughout all of the marketing material and everything that you put out into the world. What I've learned is that you want to choose elements that represent your brand. If you take a look at the Pet Brainy brand, everything is in white, gray, red, burgundy, or black. Those are my brand colors. And you'll start to notice that I use the same type of elements in the same fonts every single time I put a piece of material out. You'll even notice that I'm wearing the same colors. So I'm always in my videos wearing red or black or white. Those are my brand colors. So that's what I'm going to wear in everything that I put out, because I want that to reflect my brand. So I didn't realize how important that was when I first started building my pet sitting business, Happy Tails Transport. And also, I didn't realize how important the name that you choose is for building your brand. Now, I made a big mistake when I chose the name Happy Tails Transport, because that name actually boxed me in too much. When I first started my pet sitting business, I actually thought I was going to be more focused on transport. And that was a mistake that I made. And it's one of the biggest mistakes that I made, because now I have this name, Happy Tails Transport, but I hardly do transport. That's like the smallest part of my business. I've thought about changing the name of it, but then it's a lot of work to do that. And then that can get confusing to the people that already know my brand. My community is small enough that I've chosen not to change it, but it is one of those things that kind of hang over my head. Like, I wish so bad that I did not put the word transport on there. So be very careful when choosing the name of your business. And also, you want to be very careful when having a logo design, because that logo is going to stick with your business for many years to come. It's not something that you want to change too soon, because it confuses people. So you want to make sure and be very careful when choosing all of your elements and colors and fonts and your brand voice, because you want to be consistent and build a cohesive brand so that you're recognizable. When people see my colors, even on my YouTube channel, can recognize my brand instantly because of the colors on all of my thumbnails. But it should be the same with everything that you put out into the world. When you send out an email, it should have your fonts in it. Everything that you do should be recognizable to the personality of your brand. And that's what I learned. That is such a big lesson. And I thought that that would be a good one to share with you. because it's a lesson that is so important to the growth of your business. The second thing that I've learned is that you need to have a marketing plan. When I first started my pet sitting business, I did all kinds of things to try to drum in business. I put flyers out, I dropped off business cards and brochures at the groomers, the vet's office, all of those things. I took Google ads out, I did Facebook ads, I did many different things to try to drum in business. And yes, a lot of those things worked, but the thing that I did wrong is that I didn't actually have a plan. I didn't realize that everything that you do in your business should be with intention. You should know exactly what your intention is behind each piece of marketing effort that you're doing. So this is a big thing that I learned. And so now when I create marketing for my business, I actually have a plan for everything. Every video I put out, every blog post that I put out, every post that I put out on Facebook, everything has a plan now. And so this was a valuable lesson. And when I started to change that mindset of having a plan and intention for everything that I do, everything changed for my business. So this is a big one. Definitely put a marketing plan into action and know what your intention is before you do any marketing. Have intention behind everything that you do. So the third lesson that I learned is don't price your services too low. You need to make sure and value yourself and know what you're worth. But what it really comes down to is that you need to know what the cost is to run your business. What is your plan? You need to know what your plan is, because if you're planning on hiring employees, you need to know what those costs are going to be to have those employees. And then you need to make sure and price your services accordingly. Don't price too low, because then when you do start to have employees, then you're priced so low that you're not covering your costs of doing business. So you need to know your numbers. It really comes down to that. Don't just use your gut instinct on what your pricing is. That's what I did, and that was a mistake. I started way too low, and I'm still paying for it now, because what happens is that if you start too low, it's really hard to do too big of increases. So it takes several years to get your prices to where you want to be. So you need to know your numbers. I'm going to say that again. You need to know your numbers, because if you don't know your numbers, you really don't have intention behind your pricing. So know your numbers, know what your expenses are, and then price accordingly. Obviously, you don't want to price yourself out of the market, but it's okay to be on the high end of the pricing in your area. That's okay, but know your numbers, and then don't just go by your gut. Know your numbers. What's the number one mistake that you've made in your pet sitting business? Share it in the comments below. It helps us all. I'd love to hear it. The fourth lesson I have learned is be very aware of where you're putting your time. Sometimes we do activities in our business where we think that because we're busy, that they're good activities and money producing activities, when actually they're not. Spending hours and hours on perfecting your website is not money producing activity. When you are doing a $10 an hour activity in your business, you probably should look at that and think, well, maybe I should delegate that to somebody that's making $10 an hour. You need to be aware of what you're doing as the business owner and putting your energy into money producing activities. For instance, you want to look around and see what systems need to be put in place to free you up. When you automate your business, it's going to free you up as the business owner. So looking around in your business and doing money producing activities that's going to make your business better is what you need to be doing. Don't waste a ton of time on perfecting every little thing, because that is not money producing activity. This is a really, really hard lesson. And it's a lesson that actually I am still learning, because I get caught up on the perfection of things. I like everything to be perfect, but sometimes I have to take a step back and say, okay, good is good enough. It doesn't have to be perfect. You just need to keep moving forward and building your business with systems that are going to make it easier for your business to run without you doing every single thing. So that is number 4, because I feel like it's a really, really important one that all of us are guilty of, especially me, and I'm still learning myself. So number 4 is be aware of where you're putting your time. So the 5th and probably the most important lesson that I have learned is to create a work-home life balance. Running a business can take over your life if you allow it to. You do not need to be available to your clients 24/7. This is a mistake that I made in the beginning. I thought that by allowing them to text me that I would be able to be available for them. But what I've learned is that was a huge mistake on my part, because when I started to hire employees and hire an assistant, and I wanted them to be able to take care of the clients, they couldn't do that if the client was texting me because they didn't have access to my phone. It definitely created problems. But furthermore, when people think that they can text you, they actually intrude on your home life balance that you're trying to create, because they text you at 8 o'clock at night or 6 o'clock in the morning. They text you at all hours of the night thinking that they can contact you whenever they please. Well, for me, I always would leave my phone on because I was afraid that one of my employees would need me. So if my employee is out working and I'm trying to sleep and a client texts, I get woken up because they're texting me. So I have found that by putting protocols in place of how your clients can contact you, it makes it so much easier. So setting those boundaries early on. You don't want to set it up where they can contact you anytime that they want. If you set it up where they're contacting you through the portal, then it allows you to still respond to them if you want to, but you're not being intruded upon because it's through an email instead of a text message. And that way, your employees can take care of those clients if you're not available to. So having those kind of protocols in place are super important, but making sure that in the beginning, you understand that you do not have to be available for your clients 24/7. You just don't. You have to set boundaries. This is super, super important. And it was a hard lesson to learn, because by not doing this early on, it created a lot of havoc for myself. So that's a big one that I wanted to share with you. So there you have it, my 5 top lessons that I've learned while building my pet sitting business. If you would like help building your pet sitting business so that you don't have to go through all of the mistakes that I did, I would like to invite you to the Pet Brainy Circle. It's a membership site with like-minded pet sitting business owners that work together to help each other navigate through the journey of building a pet sitting business. This membership site is jam-packed with courses and workshops and everything that you need to build a successful pet sitting business. So jump on over to petbrainy.com and sign up for the wait list so that I can notify you when open enrollment is. I would love to see you there. It's an amazing experience for everybody. So jump on over to petbrainy.com and sign up. If you like this video, hit the subscribe button and hit that notification bell so that you're notified every week when I put new videos out. If you think your friends would enjoy these videos, be sure to share it with your friends. I'd love to see them. As always, I appreciate you being here. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next one.